Now let's look at this 4 question in 1101. Now we want to find the greatest value of 2y minus x. So what we have is cos equal to 2y minus x. So 2y equal to x plus c. Okay, this doesn't matter whether I put positive because we are not going to look at this value. Okay, we're going to look at the value in the required area. Okay, now so next step is y equal to half x plus c. Okay, now m is equal to half. Okay, now this is positive, so the line is slant toward the right. Now to get a gradient of half, we can take 10 and 5. Okay, here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 box. Here is equivalent to 10, this is equivalent to 5. So you get this gradient. Now you want the greatest value. Okay, so what you do is you move this line to the maximum point. Okay, now if you look at this answer here, there is no point that you can have a complete whole number for the y and the x value. Okay, so here it is y equal to 8 is not possible because this is below 8. Okay, now this point here, so what about this point here? You see this point here, you got 7y and here is 6x. Now what about this point? This point will offer you a bigger value, which is 7x instead of 6x. X equal to 6, here is x equal to 7, which will give you a bigger value. But the point is, this point is actually fall on a dotted line. So this point cannot be included. Okay, so any point here will be less than this point, which is higher y value. Okay, if you pick this point, you can calculate, you got more y but less, more x but less y. But we understand that the y value is bigger, 2, the x value is 1, is smaller, so we would prefer a higher value of y instead of higher value of x. So this is the correct answer there. Okay. Now if you look at question 56, you want maximum value. So c is equal to 2y plus 5x, so is 2y minus 5x plus c prime. Okay, so y become minus 2.5x plus c prime prime. Okay, the c here doesn't, we're not going to calculate value based on the c, so it doesn't matter, we just give a notation of c prime prime. Okay, now remember this is negative here, that means the line is slanting toward the left. It has to be slanting this way. So 2.5, so we can pick, let's see what he picked, 2.5. Okay, so you convert into 5 over 2. Now he picked x is 4, so it's times 2, which give x of 4. Now this times 2, which will give you a y of 10. So here is 10. Okay, so here is 2. Now, so you want maximum value, you have to shift this to the maximum point. You can see that the line cannot go further up because here is less than 10 for y. Okay, so you cannot move further up than this. So the point that you can consider with the highest y and x would be this point. This point can be accepted because it's not on the dotted line. So you have a y of 9 and a x of 8. Here is 9. Okay, so the maximum value, the c, you just substitute the y equal to 9 and the x equal to 8. Okay, so that gives you 58. Now the last question here, c is equal to 3y minus x. So 3y equal to x plus c prime. So y equal to minus 1 over 3x plus c prime. Now, so remember this negative, I mean the line is slanting toward the right. So 1 to 3. Now let's look at the line they form. 1 over 3. So what he used is 10. So he's using 10. Okay, now, so he used times 3 times 3. So it's 3 over 9. Okay, you look at this axis here, x-axis, 1, 2, 3 for the y, and then the x is 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Remember the point, the second point is the first point, the second point is not at 0, is at 1. Okay, so from 1 to 10 is actually nice. So you get the grade. Remember this negative means line toward the right. So you push this line up, you want a minimum. So to get the minimum, if you push this line, okay, now we want minimum value, so we move this line to the lowest we can. In fact, this line can move further down here, okay, this point here, which is 10 and y equal to 2, x equal to 10, but then because of the dotted line you cannot include this point, so the next minimum value is this here. Okay, now so if this is a dotted line, you cannot pick any value on this dotted line, so the next line you can use is this. Okay, so to have the minimum y, the y-intercept, the cost, so this is the lowest point the line can move. Okay, this is the lowest point to get the minimum y value. Okay, any point over here, it will give a higher minimum y value. Okay, the y-intercept will be larger. So this is the only point here, which is x is 10, y is equal to 3. Okay, now something very interesting here. Normally you want the minimum value, and you, for example, what you want is 3y plus x. Then normally this will be the point where you have the lowest possible value. Okay? Because if you put plus x here, then the graph will be this direction. Okay? It will be a negative value. So if negative value, you want the minimum value, you go to this corner here. Okay? Now, but in this case, instead of 3y plus x, it is 3y minus x. So the line actually slant this way. So if you slant this way, your minimum value will be here. Okay? To get the minimum value. But actually, obviously, 3y minus x. Okay, you want the minimum value of 3y minus x. I mean, you must pick the maximum of x. So that 3y minus maximum of x will give you the minimum value. That's why this point is selected. Okay, bear in mind here is dotted line, so you cannot pick any point from here. Okay. Now the question is, tan 3, why this is selected in spite this dotted line? You see, actually if you see carefully, the dotted line actually doesn't cross this point. Okay, it's slightly above this point. So you still can accept this point as a solution with the minimum value. So it's also highlight the point that when you draw this type of graph, make sure your line is very, very sharp. Okay, number one. Number two is when you pick your point 1 and point 2, when you want to join them, make sure you align your ruler perfectly correctly on the point 1 and point 2 before you draw the line. Okay, if you don't align properly, you join the line, then it could be this point actually, this line
there,
actually.
Your alarm called you. Join the line is set for tomorrow at 3 a.m.
Okay, so if you didn't draw it properly, this dotted line will fall into this point, so you will not pick this point as the answer. But in fact, if you look carefully, the dotted line doesn't cross this point. Okay, so this is a very borderline case. So if you don't draw it correctly, you will end up having problems picking the wrong point. Okay, so that's it. So it's tan 3. Okay, remember it's negative x, so the line is slanting this way. So to get the minimum point is this part here. It's slightly different.